All right. Good morning. My name's Hannah Perky. I'm CEO of Evelo team with Keller Williams Realty. I'm joined by Bob Warner, one of our most seasoned agents, and we're here for our monthly market update. We always come on here for, I think we're going to shoot for 7 minutes today because we want it to be direct to the point, get you the data that you need and the accuracy of what's actually happening in the real estate market so you can use that to make informed decisions as you consider buying or selling. So Bob will jump right in. Looking at February data, can you tell us what's happening in the housing market in central Indiana?
Yeah, like you said, let's just get right to it. We've been doing this for quite a while. So if you've watched before, you kind of know what we go over each month. But that first slide up is that median sales price for our market area. So we ended February at just a little bit under 298, which was up 6.4% over February of last year. So settling into that kind of like that 4 to 6% growth rate. We'll see if that continues throughout the year. Next up is days on market. We have continued to kind of see that increase. This is a median number, so it's the midpoint between the high and the low. So there are factors on both ends that could influence that. But we ended February at 37, which was up from 25 in February of last year. So from a percentage perspective, that's up 48%. And I'd say that's pretty consistent with what we're seeing. That number just slightly increasing, but going back to when I started, that number was over 100. So still well below where we were, more than a decade ago, but it is relative compared to where we've been the last few years. Next up, that month supply of inventory. Again, a balanced market, balanced meaning it's kind of equal between buyer and seller, is about a 4 to 5 month supply. So we're at 2.2 months supply of inventory for February. Again, that's another number that was up over February of last year, about 20%. So starting to see things stay on a little longer, which means we have a little bit more inventory each month. And just kind of in the first set of slides here, the next one we look at is the percent of list price received. So still pretty strong here. We ended February with a 97.8% average list price received, which is actually up a little bit from last February after we had seen that kind of go down just little notches almost every month last year.
Yeah, 2.2 months of inventory, man. I just feel like we have a million houses to choose from then. We're not used to that. That's great. Okay. All right. What else on shifting market? So we've been shifting and Bob's been providing some additional details. So what else are you looking at?
Yeah, so just some of the other things we take a look at is just that active inventory overall. So we ended February at 4,086 units. So again, more increases. So it seems to be the theme today. So last February we ended at 3,459, so up 18% there. Closed sales were actually down a little bit. So that's one of those things that leads to a little bit more inventory because less homes sold in the month. So just a little under 1,900 units. So almost flat to last year, but down 2.3%. And then the number of new listings, this is probably the biggest one, or, and these things can fluctuate pretty big from month to month, but we were at just under 2,400 units. Which was down about 9% over last year. But keep in mind, we had some icky weather this January/February. So sometimes that impacts things. And just based on what we're already seeing in March, my guess would be when we sit here next month, we're probably going to have a number that's significantly higher in March of 25 versus March of 24. And then that last one we kind of take a look at on this front is we like to look at the total number of transactions that closed above list price, because that's still happening, right? Remember that real estate is very hyper local to even down to the neighborhood level, let alone like the suburb or the county or anything like that. So we had 13% of homes last month closed for over list price.
Right. Yeah, and like you said, it's so hyper local. So if you're considering listing, we're going to pull that data and break it down. And I think that's important to be talking to an agent about because we see things of, 70, 80,000 over list price right now and home selling under list price. And so it's very important to know and be educated of what's the expectation for days on market, pricing, et cetera. That's great info. All right, what about interest rates? That's always the hot topic.
Yeah, we always try to take a look at that each month. Again, there's a lot of things that influence that, but we just look at this kind of weekly primary mortgage market survey that gets distributed. So we ended last week at 6.65% for a 30-year fixed. That was down just a little under a quarter point, 0.24 from when we did this last month at 6.89%. So we have kind of maybe broke 7 at the beginning of the year, but we have consistently been under 7 all year. And we seem right now to be fluctuating between this like 6.5, 6.65, 6.75, 6.85. And it seems like that trend should at least continue for the near future. And then we don't try to predict too much further out than that. But I think when we took a look at the end of last year, just kind of the big picture surveys that go out every year, the general consensus was that we would probably float in that 6.5 to 6.75% range for the majority of the year.
Okay, awesome. All right. Any final thoughts about the state of the market?
Yeah, I always just like to end with something. The one this month, I just kind of had, if you followed the news recently, you'll see a lot of big corporations, mid-sized corporations are calling their workers back to the office. And so for those folks that might have moved to some different locations when they had the opportunity to work remote and work from home, might have made their living arrangements a little different. This was just an interesting number to me that now more than half of workers are, considered a long commute or further away from where their home base might be. So if for some reason you've been called back to the office and that might make your living situation need to change, give us a call. Let's connect and discuss what that might look like for you.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so we did it. 7 minutes. We hope that's helpful. If you have any additional questions or want us to dig into this data in a different way to break it down for you, you can reach out to us in the contact info below. We appreciate it. We'll be back next month, and we hope you have a great rest of the day. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.